up in the morning to whistles and bells. The city's got its stories to tell. Voices lift easy, they come out like the ocean swells. Tonight I'm looking far past a bottle in my hand. Sometimes it's all the truth I can stand. I just follow the way the wind, it blows my plans. And I'm tied to your tracks, love. I wish that I am your last love. The dream comes to me like a memory, and I rise above once again. The story will find me, and I'll turn to words how I should have fallen for a bluebird. At least you know each spring they always return. And I've learned to capture this mixture of shadows and glory, hang them up like pictures on the wall, and stay laughing through my tears after it all. And I'm tied to your tracks, love. I wish that I am your last love. The dream comes to me like a memory, and I rise above once again. To your tracks, love. I wish that I am your last love. The dream comes to me like a memory, and I rise above, and I rise above once again.
There's heavy-duty DNA, HDNA. It's engineered into every aspect of the GMC Sierra HD, with the pulling power to prove it. Tow hitches of the world, prepare for glory.
The fabric of nature hangs in the balance because our planet is under threat, and one creature is at the center of it all.
Every day between now and 2050, it gets harder to feed the world.
We have had the mantra pounded into us, you gotta produce more, you gotta feed the world.
If we keep eating animal products on this scale, climate change continues to be exacerbated.
Many people would say cows are the worst thing in the world for the climate.
People say, let's just get rid of livestock and grow crops instead. That's not possible.
We're really missing the bigger picture.
In a world without cows, we may be giving up one of our best tools to help heal the planet.
If we want to truly mitigate climate change, we need animals on the landscape. How do we pull that carbon out of the atmosphere and put it back into the soil? That's where livestock come in.
Agriculture holds the key to saving our planet.
What really happens if you take all the cows away?
Are we better off in a world without cows?
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2024 Black Angus Show here at Canadian Western Agribition. We'll be rolling off our day with our junior heifer calves. Our first split of 2 in our junior division will have 6 entries in it, born from April the 10th to March the 8th of 2024. I'd like to introduce our judge today, Mr. Jake Scott from Gordon, Nebraska. Jake lives in Gordon, Nebraska, where he works with his wife, Cammie, and 2 daughters, Peyton and Harper, on their ranch, on their family ranching operation, Krebs Ranch. Krebs Ranch is a purebred Angus operation located in the Nebraska Sandhills that produces 400 bulls annually for registered and commercial ranches across America. Jake graduated from Connors State College and Oklahoma State University, where he was a member of the livestock judging teams at each school. He has judged major beef breed and jackpot shows across the United States and is very grateful to be part of this event. So I'd like to welcome Jake here, and we'd also like to wish all our American friends here in person and watching live on DLMS a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Rob. Welcome to the 24 Limousin show that we got going on here now. We got the junior heifer calves in the ring. There's 2 calves in here, an April heifer and a March heifer to start the show off. We'd like to welcome our judge today. On this side, we got Craig Wilgenbush here to sort through the cattle. He farms down by Halbright, Saskatchewan with his wife Tricia and 2 children, Harper and Crew. They run about 450 char cows, have a bull sale the first Monday in April of every year. He's very active in the fall show circuit throughout Saskatchewan and Alberta. He's done some judging at the Royal, Edmonton, Agribition. We're really pleased to have Craig here to sort through our cattle today. And I too will send my happy Thanksgiving sentiments to our American friends, both that are here and watching on DLMS.
Take me to a hilltop castle, to a room all draped in white. Give me some familiar faces so I know I'll be alright. Then take it all, take everything from me, then bring it on. It's because I am just a wandering man that I need you now to take my place, or else I'll ramble on until I wreck the song. I'll take it all to set me free, I beg.
We'll now have comments from Judge Wilgenbush.
This leadoff class of Limousin females out here, these are two very admirable females. Two females you really got to admire for what they bring to the table. The female I lead off is maybe the most bold-sprung female out here. You get behind her, you appreciate the pin set in this female from front to back. She's angular enough out of that front third. She's got some looks, some eye appeal with the base. Just a really overall nice female. Then you admire the April 8th birthday honor. We get into the second place female, a female once again that's very strong. You appreciate the body mass and the length of spine, the hook to pin structure in this female. Just maybe gives up some of that look and overall appeal as compared to the front female out here, but a female you got to admire. She just does a lot of things right. A really nice class of females. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Leading off in first place is entry 2892. That's JYF 212M. Shown by J. Yorga Farms from Flintoff, Saskatchewan. In second and reserve junior calf is DBCC VLE Morning Mist, shown by Double B Cattle Company and Venture Livestock. Add in there now, if you would please, she's now owned by Windy Gables Limousin from Ontario. Coming into the ring now on the Limousin side of the ring is our intermediate division. We got 4 entries in there, ranging from February 13th through to February 2nd.
We'll now have some comments from Jake and our Angus show.
Well, thank you very much, and certainly welcome to all you Angus enthusiasts this morning to our show. What a powerful way to get our heifer calf show started with these young females. I think the top 3 females in this class are awfully nice, and there's certainly give and takes between these. For me, the most complete female that I think checks all the boxes belongs to the gentleman I pulled out in first. She's most impressive to me from a profile standpoint. I think she's very striking in terms of her balance, her look, and her pattern. She's gorgeous up through her head, her neck, and her shoulder. She's got a beautiful top line. I love the length and squareness of hip that she has. Goes down to a really good hip and hind leg. Extremely deep and massive in her body kind. A heifer that I consider very ample in terms of her muscle. Maybe not the most muscle in this class, but certainly very adequate. And I think just extremely feminine, extremely ladylike, and extremely high quality. A nice place to start. For me, the closer placing come between the heifers in second and third. Please pull your third place heifer out here as well, and let's discuss this pair together. This second place heifer for me made a really good impression when she first came in the ring as a young heifer in this class, who really seems to follow the type and kind of our class winner in terms of that classic Angus breed character up in her head and her skull, that big kind kind eye that she has. I love the femininity, the broodiness, the depth of body. She's very similar to our class winner in that regard. You get behind her and you find this to be a pretty wide-based type of female. I think she's sound in the way that she moves. But in an excellent class of females where little things make a big difference, I don't think she just blends quite as nicely from shoulder into forerib as that heifer that wins the class. Now, the heifer that comes third, no doubt. Some of you could place this heifer first, and I get it. She's the most powerful in terms of her stoutness of bone, her size of foot. She's just an extremely stout-made, rugged type of a female. She, too, like our heifers in first and second this morning, is really blessed with an abundant amount of rib and body and capacity. She's wide and square when you get in behind her. The differences between her and the heifers in first and second lie in her balance for me. She's a little coarser and plainer about that skull. She opens up a little bit more in her shoulder. And for me, I'd really like to change the way that she handles herself and her top line on the move. Whereas today she wants to rise a little bit in the center of her back, pinch a little in that loin, and again get a little higher in her tail head. If we could just smooth that out, kind of from shoulder back, this would be a heifer that I think could be just extremely competitive and already is really good in this class. Come out to a real usable type of female that's going to place fourth. I like her sound, I like her body, I like her capacity. Yep, I like her capacity. I like the depth and the dimension that she has. In this class, just a shot shorter overall. And you see that up in her front third the most. A little shorter in her neck, a little deeper in her neck, maybe a little more condition along with that up through that front third. Just takes away from her balance a little bit out here in this set of high-quality heifers, but one that I think has a lot of maternal, a lot of cow, and a lot of good to her. The heifer that comes around next, I'm a big fan of this heifer, and I think this heifer has a lot of future to her. She's a heifer that patterns up really, really nicely. I like her skeleton design, but a heifer that today just didn't want to walk around the ring quite as nicely for me. I'd like to see her stretch out and just move with a little more freedom and flexibility as we get her out on the move. But boy, on the stand, she's really one that's fun to look at. Another heifer that's a little nervous acting out here today is the heifer that completes the class. Lots of shape and power, gives up a little bit in terms of balance and structure for me. Please give our first class a nice round of applause.
So leading off our first class of heifer calves is entry number 203, Brooking Royal Lass 4207, shown by Brooking Angus Ranch, Trey Maria, El Sauve, San Martin, and Rosolano. Second in class is entry number 2009, Boss Lake Miss Donna 452M, shown by Boss Lake Genetics. Third is entry number 2000, Pillar Pretentious 2429M from Pillar Show Cattle. Fourth is entry number 2010, MJT 041H Sarita ET 201M, shown by MJT Cattle Company. Fifth in class is entry number 205, JT Rosebud 99M from JT Livestock. And sixth in class is entry number 2001, SHR Tibby 10M, shown by Swan Hills Ranch. We'll now move into split two of our junior heifer calves. These females are born from March the 5th to March the 1st of 2024.
We'll now have comments from Judge Craig on our intermediate division.
This intermediate division of Limousin females are a really nice set of females out here from top to back. The female that comes to the top, you really admire for a lot of things. She comes in, she's got a ton of eye appeal. You really like her when you put her into motion. She's fluent in her joints. You get behind her, you appreciate her with the base. She's really strong over that top and comes out of that front shoulder really nice. Just a really well-built female from front to back that starts off this class. We get into our second place female, a female that's really admirable for their stoutness from front to back, the muscle shape in her. Just gets a little harder in her type and in her lower third to compete with the heifer out here today, and maybe not moving as well. She's just a little more stubborn on the halter today, but a female you really appreciate a lot of the things she does. She's got a really nice look, some length of spine, and some body mass to her. We get into our third place female, a female you admire for that length of body, the length of hip, the thickness on this female. Just gives up a little plainer look and a plainer through that front third to compete with a female out in front of her, but a female in her own breeding program will do a really nice job. We get into the fourth place female, a really long spine female for sure, a female that's really nice in that hook to pin structure. She sets down on all square four legs. You really admire the body and the length to her, but just gives up a little bit of that look. And and extra body mass to compete with these females out here, but 4 really nice females. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Leading off in the intermediate champion, first place is entry number 2898. That's RPY Payne's Marlowe, shown by Payne Livestock. Please add in now that she's now owned by Formac Farms from Ontario. In second place is entry number 29, EMF Maggie, owned and shown by Eden Meadows Farms, Xena, Saskatchewan. In third is entry number 2896, SGL Mercedes, shown by Shortgrass Limousin from Swift Current. And in fourth place, 2895, that's SGL Mayflower, owned and shown by Shortgrass, also from Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Coming back is intermediate champion, 2898, reserve 2900. We'll now go into our start our first split of senior heifer calves to come in. There will be 3 in the first split. First split coming in here in our senior calf division and ranges and ages from January 30th, January 28th. 2 days difference in these 3 heifers.
Jake will now comment on this class of heifer calves.
Well, as you'll find today, I'm not a judge who's ashamed to admit when it's a close or tough placing for me, and I would definitely say that this placing between first and second kind of falls into that category. These are both heifers I like a good deal, but for different reasons. To be quite honest with you here today, if we could put some parts and pieces of each of those heifers into one package, I think we'd have something closer to what my ideal is. That being said, I'm going to start with the gentleman's real massive-bodied heifer here to win the class, and that being one of the reasons, but also she's an extremely fancy-fronted, up-headed, good shoulder type of female. I love the length and levelness and squareness that she has to her hip and tail head, and by comparison between her and the heifer in second, she certainly is the bigger-boned, heavier-structured heifer of the pair. Now, what gives me some heartburn is the way that she connects from her shoulder into that big massive rib cage. She needs to be stronger behind her shoulder. She needs to be wider right there in her forerib, and that's a real advantage that our heifer in second has. She does come from the shoulder across the middle of her back with more strength and levelness. She's more open and she's fuller in her rib cage, and I certainly grant that. On the other side of the coin, this heifer doesn't pack as much bone and stoutness of leg today as does our class winner. I think she's a rib shorter than our class winner, and I even see that up in her front where she's starting to lay more wrinkles and a little crest even at this young age on the top of that neck. I'd add just a little shot of that pizzazz and wow factor that we see in our class winner to go ahead and let this one sneak up to the front of the class. So for those reasons today she's second, but a nice pair of heifers in first and second. Then we have a good old-fashioned judging contest from here down. Gentleman that's going to place third today has got a real stout featured, high-performing type of heifer. It's got a lot of growth. She's a tall-fronted type of heifer that has a lot of height and stature right there at the top of her shoulder. I love the length of body in this female. So long spine, but especially long hip, and she too, like our class winner, stands down on an extraordinary amount of bone. Is she the jazziest one that we've seen out here in terms of that cookie cutter profile? She is not, and I would maybe correct her just a little bit in the set of that hind leg, but I still consider her to be a sounder option than some other heifers that we have in class, like the size, like the performance, a lot of power in that heifer. Another heifer that comes around that's got a lot to her is this heifer the gentleman in the vest pulls out next. My favorite view of this heifer is right when you get behind her. You want to talk about one that is meaty and beefy and square-hipped and comes back to a big, nice, thick hip with some width at both ends of her skeleton. That's her. For me, I'd like to see her handle it just a little bit better in terms of the way she wants to move around the ring today. I would just free her up from a soundness standpoint. A lot the same could be said for this heifer that comes out next. She's cute. She's a little more moderate in this class, but a cute package. Cute-headed, a cute pattern, cute silhouette. I like her best on the stand. I think she can give you some balance and some look, and I really kind of get drawn to her in a pose just like that. On the other side of the coin, you do have to recognize that she has given up some performance in this class, but more than that, this heifer's lower in her pin set today. Her back legs get underneath her more on the move. I'd correct her in those two areas. The two heifers that are going to complete the class, this gentleman right here, I love this heifer. Big-bodied, cowy, maternal, real world. That one's going to be a money maker out in the pasture. Today, she's a lot keener in her bone work. By comparison, in this class, she's a little tighter in that hock, but boy, she checks a lot of the big boxes for me. And then the young lady's heifer that completes the class. Another heifer that I think's got a ton of future. Love the top, love the levelness and design. Today just doesn't want to move around the ring as nicely as I'd like to see. Thank you.
So leading off split two in our junior heifer calves is entry number 2002. Brooking Beauty 4197, shown by Brooking Angus Ranch and Matthew Hamill. Second is entry number 2107. KT Erica 4674, shown by KT Ranches. Third is 2007, Blair's April 543M, shown by Blair's.ag Cattle Company. Fourth is entry number 2008, Blair's Barbara 541M, shown by Blair's.ag Cattle Company. Fifth is entry number 2006, Rito Lady Jet 84M, shown by Rito Angus Farms. Sixth is 2013, Blair's West Erica 84M, shown by Blair's West Land and Cattle. And rounding out the class is entry number 2015, HLC CSI Barbara 499M, shown by Hollinger Land and Cattle. We will now be moving into our junior heifer calf division. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Ivanhoe Angus for sponsoring the champion, and Early Sunset Ranch for the reserve. So returning from split 1 is entry number 2003, Brooking Royal Lass 4207, as well as entry number 2009, Boss Lake Miss Donna 452M. And from split 2, entry number 2002, Brooking Beauty 4197, and entry number 2107, KT Erica 4674.
We'll now have comments on our first split of senior heifer calves.
We have 3 really nice limousines out here for a split of heifer calves. The female I lead off with is a female that's really admirable. A female has so much mass, so much body. You get behind her, you appreciate the thickness, the muscle expression in this female, yet she's got some femininity. You really appreciate the understructure, the way she moves out. If I was going to be real critical, I'd freshen her up just a wee bit, but boy, you want to talk about some power and some mass. That female expresses a whole bunch of it. We get into the second place female, really nice up through that front third. You appreciate how fresh this female is. She's got some body mass, some thickness to her. You appreciate her over that top. You really can't punch a bunch of holes in this female. You put her into motion and you really appreciate a lot of things she does. Just going to be a real power cow down the road. We get into the third place female, probably the longest bodied female in the class. Just gets a little plainer in her type and kind, a little weaker behind that forerib to compete with the females out here, but 3 really nice heifer calves. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Leading off in first place is 2908 DBCC VLE Monroe 11N. Shown by Double B Cattle Company and Adventure Livestock Enterprises. That heifer is now owned by Redline Livestock of Alberta. In second place was 2905 RPY Payne's Margot, owned and shown by Payne Livestock. You can put in there now that she is currently owned by B-Bar Livestock Junior Division. And in third place, 2906 EMF Monroe, owned and shown by Eden Meadow Farms from Zener, Saskatchewan. We'll now come in with split number 2, 4 in the split, ranging from January 3 to January 24.
Well, we pick our first division champion over here on the Angus side of the ring. As we do so right now, please give our exhibitors a nice round of applause this morning for a good start to our show. Between our 2 exhibitors out here in first, I think there's a clear-cut winner for me. I prefer the heifer of the pair that just has more strength, more levelness down her top. I think it gives her more balance overall without giving up a lot of maternal. Congratulations to our young heifer. She'll be your division champion. You're welcome.
So our junior heifer calf champion is entry number 2003, Brooking Royal Lass 4207, shown by Brooking Angus Ranch, Tres Maria, El Sauve, San Martin, and Resolano. And the reserve comes out of the same class, entry number 2009, Boss Lake Miss Donna, 452M, shown by Boss Lake Genetics. We are now moving into our first split of 5 in our intermediate heifer calf classes. There should be 6 heifers in this class born from February the 29th to February the 23rd of 2024.
Comments on our second split of senior heifer calves from Judge Craig Wilgenbush.
We lead off this class with a female that comes to the top quite handily, a female you really love, the balance, the look, the feminine characteristics in her. You appreciate her out of that front third. She's got some width of base and some width of pin over that top. She's really strong. Just a female you really can't punch a bunch of holes in, and you appreciate what her long-term value in her breeding program. A really well-rounded female. Get in the second place female, a little more frame to her, a female you appreciate for the thickness and front to back on this female. Just gets a little coarser up through that front third to compete with the female that leads off the class, but very well-rounded female as well. We get into our third place female, female you appreciate the length of spine, the length of hook to pin structure. Just gets a little outmassed and outpowered, gets a little more narrow in her width of base to compete with the females out in front of her. And on down the line, we got a fourth place female, a female you appreciate. She's strong top. She gets out and moves fairly nice. Just gives up a little bit of that softness and flank to her to compete with the females out in front. But a really nice, well-rounded class. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Leading off in first place, 2904, Payne's, RPY Payne Celine, owned and shown by Payne Livestock. In second place, Plains Madeline, owned and shown by Plains Limousin from Wainwright, Saskatchewan. Alberta. In third place, 2902 SGL Miami, shown by Shortgrass Livestock from Swift Current, and rounding out the class is Amaglen Moonbeam, shown by Amaglen Limousin from Darlingford, Manitoba. We'll now have the first and second from the last two splits come back in to declare our senior heifer calf and reserve senior heifer calf champion. Coming back in first place in first split is DBCC VLE Monroe from Double B Cattle Company, Venture Livestock, and Redline Livestock. Second is RPY Payne's Margot, owned and shown by Payne Livestock and now by B-Bar Cattle Company. Also from the second division is RPY Payne Celine, owned and shown by Payne Livestock. And in second is Plains Madeline, owned and shown by Plains Limousin from Wainwright. Comments from Craig.
This championship female heifer calves from the Limousin side, we got 4 excellent individuals out here, 4 individuals that are very useful in their own right and are going to be very powerful brood matrons on in this breed. I'm going to go select my grand and reserve champion senior heifer calf. Thank you.
Senior heifer calf champions, entry number 2908, DBCC VLE Monroe by Double B Cattle Company, Venture Livestock, and now Redline Cattle. Followed up in reserve by, in second place in reserve champion is RPY Payne's Margot, coming out of the same split. Entry number 2905, now owned by B-Bar Cattle Company, the junior division.
Jake will now comment on his first split of intermediate heifer calves.
A very interesting class, and this may prove to be a class where we break and type a little bit from the size that's been winning some other classes, in that we're going to use what's the most moderate framed heifer in here to win. But she has so many advantages in other areas, there's no doubt in my mind she's the one who deserves to win here this morning. This is a heifer that's as nice balanced and as sound structured as anything we have in the class. Relative to her moderate frame size, she's tremendously long bodied. You see length up front, length down the middle of her back, length and squareness, and more importantly, width and fullness back in that hip. Short tail throws her off balance just a little bit, but boy, she's massive in terms of her rib. She's got genuine shape from front to rear. Again, what she's not the biggest heifer. I'd like to raise her up in terms of her height and stature to suit more of my kind. I'd also add to her just a little bit of bone to maybe make her more competitive with some of the class-winning heifers in other classes, but I love her in terms of her type and kind, her completeness, her balance, her body, and most importantly in this class, her soundness of structure. Congratulations on a class winner here this morning. The young lady that's going to place second has a heifer that is no doubt more my type in terms of her size and her frame. I like that. I like that she stands up a little taller there in her front. I like that there's just a little more of her in terms of height than scale. On the other side of the coin, this heifer backs up quite a bit from our first heifer in terms of balance. She doesn't connect as neatly from her neck into her shoulder into that forerib, and then as we move into her rump and tail head, it wants to get up in the air. Tail head comes up out of her spine more. As much as anything today, she seems to be bothered there on her back left leg as she walks around the ring. I'd like to see her just set down on those pasterns with a little bit more. Maybe something that's just not agreeing with her here this week, and it's maybe not something that goes with her, but we see it today, and I would change those things. But I love that heifer in terms of her size, in terms of her scale. Really, really good from a performance standpoint. The heifer that places third, a lot the same way. I have to look at this heifer for a long time because I really like this heifer on the stand. She gives you a good look, a good profile. Balances up for me a little better than the heifer right in front of her in terms of femininity, neatness of neck, but on the other side of the coin, she's a straighter shouldered heifer that struggles off of her front end a little more, doesn't flex and reach off of those back legs. So if we could make her as attractive on the move as she is on the stand, that would be a heifer that could easily win this class today. I told the gentleman that's coming out next, I really like your heifer, that she's just not having much fun out here today, and she's a little hard to get a read on. She has a lot the same kind of build and make as our class winner in terms of her moderate frame size, her massive rib cage, big volume, big body, big capacity kind of heifer that's got some width. Even as she dances around the ring, you can see that she probably travels a little more awkward off those rear legs, kind of gets outside of herself with a little extra set. I'd change that about her. She'll have a lot more fun days in the show ring, I know. Here's a big stout heifer coming around next. A lot of bone, a lot of power in terms of the structure of this heifer. I like that about her. Like her width of top, like that squareness of top. Boy, she's just really flat and wide across her back. Got a lot of true power to go along with that performance and bone. I'd just like to add to that some soundness of structure. You watch that heifer off of her back leg. I just like to change her there in terms of the way she goes around the ring today. A real nice one coming around next that I think's got a lot of future and a lot of potential. Time's going to be her friend. Today gives up a little bit, just not in terms of measurements, just not as much heifer there as what we see in those other heifers. In terms of her mass and power, she too could move out better to suit me today. Congratulations on another good class. Thank you.
So leading off our class is entry number 2027, Cottonwood Tibby, 48M, shown by Cottonwood Angus Farms. Second in class is entry number 2033, Mainstream Sweetheart, 34M, shown by Mainstream Genetics and Serena Frank. Third in class is entry number 2047, Eastondale Countess, 120-24, shown by Eastondale Angus. Fourth in class is entry number 2041, Blair's Erica, 520M, shown by Blair's.Ag Cattle Company. Fifth is 2042, Blair's Erica, 529M, shown by Blair's.Ag Cattle Company, Dudgeon Livestock, 719 Cattle, and Sholigan Cattle. And sixth goes to entry number 2037, J-S Star Maiden, 457M, shown by J-S Angus. We now move into split two of our February heifer calves. These were born from the 22nd to the 12th of February. We do have one scratch in this class. You can scratch entry number 2043.
Comments from Judge Wilgenbush.
We have a really nice set of 5 bred females out here in this Limousin split. The female that comes to the top of the class, the female that catches you once she comes in the ring, a female you appreciate for what she possesses for body mass and thickness and overall balance. You love her on the profile. You love a lot of things about this female. She's deep through that lower third. A female that just really gets out and really a ton of balance, and you just love a lot of things about her. We get into the second place female. A female that I really love when you put her in her motion. She's really fluid in her joints. She comes out of that front third really nice. A female that's got a really nice hook to pin structure. She's stout pinned. A female just really ties in and is very similar to the female that we lead off the class with. Just really 2 high-quality brood matrons out here. We get into the third place female. A female that's probably the most massive bodied in here. You appreciate the rib that she represents. She comes out of that front really nice. A female, I'd just like to see her move out a little better on those hind wheels to compete with the 2 females out in front of her. But a female you like a lot of things about. Just a real brood cow in the making that's so powerful from front to back. We get into the fourth place female. A female you appreciate the depth of body, the mass that she represents. Maybe not having her best day out here and not performing as well as the front females out in front, but a really overall well put together female that's going to represent herself very good in the future. We get into the fifth place female. You know, from front to back, you love her on the profile. Just when you put her into motion, to me, she kind of falls apart behind that forerib and just gets a little plainer in her type when you put her into motion. But 5 really sound 5 breeding females out here. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Leading off in first place, lot number 2912, RPY Paynes Lila, owned and shown by Eden Meadows Farm and additional owners of Hard Rock Land and Cattle Company, Zener, Saskatchewan. Second place B Bar, VLE Urban Girl 5L, owned and shown by Crown Hills Acres from Omimi, Ontario, as well as Venture Livestock Enterprises. In third place is DBCC Whiskey Lullaby, owned and shown by Double B Cattle Company, Unity, Saskatchewan. Fourth place, 2914 Royal Lana, owned and shown by Royal Beef Genetics, as well as Greenwood Cattle and Pinnacle Livestock. And in rounding out the class, 2913 Royal Lady, owned and shown by Royal Beef Genetics, Starbrook, Minnesota. These two females will be your junior reserve junior champion females coming back in for in the final drive. Coming back in now, we have one cow-calf pair, a 2-year-old coming in for just before we go into the final championship drive.
We'll now have comments in our Angus show.
Well, a tough class, I think, and again, maybe not that heifer in here that just checks every single box, but some real good individuals with just some awesome parts and pieces to talk about and discuss. The heifer that wins the class is the one that you want to like when she comes in. She makes a heck of a first impression, beautifully presented, a real striking heifer in terms of her pattern, her design, her look, and her build. She's really an attention-getting type of female that's cool up in her head and her neck and her shoulder relative to the amount of mass and body and width she has from that shoulder back. I think her parts and pieces blend together good. Up on her front end, I think she reaches out and takes a nice stride. On her rear legs, a little different story for me. I'd like to change her. She gets a little more awkward and uncomfortable with the way that she handles those and shuffles around a little bit more off those rear legs. And that's where I'd change her and make her better. And that's where you kind of want to see if there's something better in her than her in here. But at the end of the day, I still think she has by far the most positives in this class. And as much as anything, for me, she's the highest quality female in the class, and she's a class winner for me today. Congratulations to you. The heifers that come from here down are much different in their type and kind. Please bring your third place heifer around and set her up in the lineup. These heifers could not be more different than one another. The heifer that I'm going to choose to place second is the more moderate heifer of the pair. She's massive in her rib. She's a heifer that when she will get out and walk, has some length of stride. On the stand, I'm afraid she gets a little straight up in that knee, straight up in that shoulder, but on the move she seems to get out and handle that better. For her moderate frame size, she's got a lot of width, a lot of shape, wide in that chest, wide based, wide at her hock when she goes around you, some beef and some meat and some product in her, still maternal looking, cowy looking, balances up more like our class winner than our heifer in third. However, our heifer in third has more of the stoutness of bone that I would like to see, and I'd be a little critical of that heifer in second for that. I love the power, the shape, the thickness, the dimension of this third place heifer. Although maybe she's not quite as deep-sided one-dimensionally, she still has good three-dimensional shape. She's got width to her body, shape up high, puts a lot of meat on top of that rib cage. I'd like to just improve her when you study her up in her front end. If we can maybe trim that brisket down, neaten her up in her skull shape a little bit, add just a little more look to go with all that power, and I'd like to see her just reach and flex better in that hock out here today, where she can be a little tight and restricted, but a real powerhouse heifer that places third. It's that power that gets her over the young lady's heifer in fourth, because let's face it, the heifer in fourth has more of the balance of those heifers in first and second. She's got more of that look, levelness of top, neatness of front end, the femininity, just that nice crisp profile that's fun to see in the show ring. But on the other side of the coin, she doesn't measure up as nicely in terms of her stoutness, her muscle, and her bone. She could be a little better there today. And then the gentleman's heifer that rounds out the class, real shapy, real thick, good strong top line in her, a heifer that's maybe a little tighter in the lower third of her body, especially that rear rib and flank, and a heifer that I'd like to see just move out a little better off of her rear legs. Let's give these exhibitors a nice round of applause. Thank you.
So leading off our class is entry number 2035, Rosilvia Miss 101M, shown by Rosilvia Cattle Company and Riley Pashulka. Second in class is entry 2040, Redu Ever Intense 55M, shown by Redu Angus Farm. Third in class is entry number 2048, Dusty's Countess 4049, shown by Dusty Rose Cattle, Bar SK, and Sarienko Cattle Company. Fifth is 2026, PJH Miss Abigail 2M, shown by Horseshoe Cattle Company and Peyton Hagel. At fifth in class is entry number 2039, Madsen Miss Marion 10M, shown by Madsen Angus. We'll now move into split 3 of our February heifer calves. These females are born from February the 9th to February the 6th.
Comments from Craig on our senior division female.
This senior division could sure stand a lot of competition. Wow, we got an impressive female out here. A female in her own right, you got to appreciate a lot of things she does. You talk about maternal characteristics, you really appreciate the udder type, the teat length, just a really well-balanced female from front to back. She gets out, she moves well, and then you appreciate the production she has out front. A female in her own right that's put together really nice. Kind of definitely a pair that's got a tough lot of competition that they could handle, and they're really well balanced and overall. Look forward to seeing them in the final. Thank you.
First place and the senior champion females, ring number 2916, RPY Paynes Kendall. She is owned and shown by the Kendall Syndicate and Payne Livestock, Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. Calf at side, Paynes Mariah, was born March 5th. We'll now start lining up our Grand Champion female drive. We'll have the division, reserve division split winners coming back for overall Grand. Coming back in, we have our junior division calf winner, entry number 2892, JYF 212M, coming in from J. Yorga Farms from Flintoff, Saskatchewan. Reserve in that class was, our division is 2894. That's DBCC, VLE, Morning Mist, Double V Cattle Company, Venture Livestock, and now owned by Wendy Gables Limousin. In the intermediate division, we have RPY Paynes Marlowe, coming in from Paynes Livestock, owned and now owned by Formac Farms from Ontario. Reserve in that division was lot number 2900, EMF Maggie from Eden Meadows Farms, Zener, Saskatchewan. In the senior division, our champion coming in is entry number 2908, DBCC VLE Monroe from Double B Cattle Company, Venture Livestock, and now owned by Redline Ranching. And in reserve division, 2905 coming in is RPY Paynes Margot from Payne Livestock, and now owned by B-Bar Cattle Company from Lucky Lake, Saskatchewan. Our junior champion coming back will be ring number 2912, RPY Paynes Lila, owned and shown by Eden Meadows Farms and Hard Rock Land and Cattle. Reserve division in that division is entry number 2911, B-Bar VLE Urban Girl, owned and shown by Crown Hill Acres and Venture Livestock Enterprises. And our senior champion rounding out this great drive is entry number 2916, RPY Paynes Kendall, 49K, with calf at foot, RPY Paynes Mariah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your grand champion drive for the 24 Limousin show here at Agribition. Let's give them a hand. It's a great set of cattle out there. These cattle that we have in the ring for the Limousin breed, of course, they're vying for the John Deere Grand Champion banners. They're John Deere, a proud heritage of making outstanding farming equipment. John Deere dealers continue to live up to the same values the company was founded on: the quality, innovation, integrity, commitment, and humanity. On behalf of Agribition and all the exhibitors, we would like to thank John Deere for their involvement in Agribition. Be sure to stop by the John Deere booth to speak with the John Deere dealers and representatives that are there. We're happy today to have Jaden Nail, product specialist from John Deere, here to make the presentation on their behalf. Also in the champion drive is the Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association. We're pleased to have them here as a representative handing out the breed Grand Champion banners. SCA, of course, is the voice of Saskatchewan beef cattle industry through advocacy, research, and communication. Our job is to help you succeed. SCA is a proud partner of the Beef Breed Grand Champion banners. We're pleased to have them here to represent the SCA. Judge Craig Wilgenbush will now make his comments on his final drive.
This Limousin side, put your hands together. We got an excellent set of females from front to back out here. We got females, I think they're going to be brood matrons, and females that are really good in this breed, and females that are going to raise the next generation of Limousin cattle out there. I'm going to go out and slap two females I'm really comfortable with. Females that are powerful, they've got some volume and some mass and some structural soundness to them. Thank you very much.
There you have it, our Grand Champion females, entry number 2916, RPY Payne's Kendall, coming to you from Payne Livestock and the Kendall Syndicate, Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, number 2916. Coming in as reserve is entry number 2908, DBCCVLE Monroe. Double B Cattle Company and Venture Livestock, now owned by Redline Livestock from Stettler, Alberta. Of course, like I said, John Deere will be presenting the championship banners and jacket for the final drive, as well as SCA and for the presentations. We'll now have a short break for a picture break, so potty break, refresh your drinks, and then we'll be back with the bull show here in a little bit.
I'd like to thank one of our Canadian Western Agribition partners, Norheim Vermeer. Independently owned and operated, Norheim Ranching offers a wide range of high-quality equipment and products specifically designed for cattle producers, with key brands including Premier hay and forage equipment, Supreme International feed mixers, AeroQuip cattle handling equipment, EBY trailers. The product line is tailored to meet the needs of Western Canadian ranchers. With a commitment to the livestock industry and a product line that continues to grow and adapt, Norheim Ranching can be trusted as your livestock equipment specialist.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a really high-quality class of heifers, especially the top half of this class. There's some tough decisions to make, and I'm going to explain those decisions as best I can now. I think probably the easiest thing to do in this class is use this female right here to win it. I love her on the stand. I like her type. I like her kind. I like her build. She's got the right parts in the right places for me, especially here on the side view. I like that she's got some length and balance and femininity and quality up through the front third of her body. I love the strength and levelness this heifer has, starting at her shoulder, going down the middle of her back and through her loin. And as much as anything maybe as we've seen today, that is one long-hipped, square-hip, perfect tail head set kind of heifer, and that adds to a real maternal look that she has. That's a heifer that from her forerib to her rear flank just gets deeper and deeper all the time. She's a heifer that in a real intriguing top trio I think is real adequate in terms of her muscle, but between these top three I think easily wins the balance contest. Between her and this heifer in second, she's much better at the ground in terms of her structure and her movement, and especially up in her shoulder blade, a really nice place for us to start. The gentleman in second has the most massive heifer in the class, the most shapely heifer in the class, the widest, the thickest heifer in the class. And you say, my goodness, Jake, why wouldn't you use her to win? The reasons is that begins to work against her a little bit. She also opens up much more at the top of her shoulder. She's got a deeper, rounder kind of a shoulder with a shorter neck. And perhaps what bothers me more than that is with maybe a little extra condition and all that boldness, she gets a little more restricted in the way that she moves. For me, it becomes more of a contest between second and third, in fact, than it does first and second. But to this gentleman, I really like and respect your heifer for all the boldness, all the shape, and all the width that she brings to this class. A really powerful, powerful female. The heifer in second has more of some of what we bragged about our first place heifer about than does our second, especially when you talk about her shoulder, when you talk about the way she moves off of that front end, and perhaps even off that back leg, although I don't know that she's 100% perfect there. But in terms of her design and balance and femininity, I prefer her over that heifer in third. If she showed us just a little more shape, especially up high in that rib cage, maybe a little more power in that hip, I would go ahead and use her in second. As it is today, that heifer breaks a little bit in her loin. Like I said, she's maybe not 100% ideal on those rear legs, and so we're going to keep her in third, but also recognize I think that's a close placing that could go either way. Another close placing are the next two heifers, and you bet, let that gentleman pull around here. It's okay, we'll get her gathered up. As we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and talk about that heifer and what makes that a close placing. That heifer has a lot of size, performance, length, growth. She's got as much stretch and extension of frame as anything in the entire class. What she's not is the soundest. In fact, the heifer that follows her does handle herself better on the move, but at the expense of muscle and shape, weight per day of age, just some extra pounds and dimension. Love this heifer from her profile. She's beautifully presented. She's sound. I just want to see more of her, especially down in that center and lower hip, a little more base width as she goes away from you, but I really appreciate her pattern and soundness. The two heifers that are going to round out the class, both heifers that are maybe just a little greener and rawer in their body condition today. They don't show you that drop and that depth, especially in that lower third. Maybe don't flex quite as nicely, but heifers that have growth, muscle, length, and extension check a lot of boxes in the important categories that matter. Thanks to each one of these exhibitors. Really, really good class. Once again, let's please give them a nice round of applause.
Thank you, Jake. So leading off our class is entry number 2020, Grills Rosebud 2426M, shown by Grills Cattle Company. Second in class is entry number 2055, Fryburn Blackbird 36M, shown by Fryburn Farms. Third in class is entry number 2017, Wilbar Blackcap 685M, shown by Wilbar Cattle Company. Fourth is 2031, Third Degree Ideal at 34M, shown by Third Degree Angus. Fifth in class is 2018, Greenwood Miss Essence 69M, shown by Jaden and Jackson Payne. Sixth in class goes to entry number 2046, Northern View Ruth 73M, shown by Northern View Angus. And seventh in class goes to entry number 2038, AJA Gestress 496M, shown by AJ Angus. We'll now be moving into our fourth split of our February heifer calves. These females were born from February the 5th to February the 3rd of 2024. Christmas is just around the corner, and if anybody's thinking about some last-minute gifts, I'd just like to ask you if you have an edition of the 2029 Canadian Angus History Book. Belinda has a few copies available here that you can take home today and save on the shipping costs. Or you can place your order through the Foundation website and have it shipped to your home. So keep that in mind, the Canadian Angus History Books.
Okay, on the Limousin side here, we're now going to get into our bull division of the show. Going to start off with our junior bull calves. We got two splits of them coming in. First split will range from April 4th through to March 5th. There will be 3 in the class. Comments on these first class of juniors, Craig Wilgenbush.
Our first split of Limousin bull calves, we lead off the class with a bull that comes to the top quite handily, a bull you appreciate for the muscle mass, the structure, how he comes out of that front third. He's got some masculinity to him. You appreciate the width, the base, the thickness he has. He's got some character up through that front third. Just a real herd bull presence and a nice look to him. We follow up with this April calf, a bull you really appreciate when you put him into motion. He's very admirable. He's sound structure, but there's quite an age gap there. But a bull you appreciate still for the body mass, the muscle shape and the tone in him and the character up through that skeleton and into that head. Just a really nice, well-balanced bull. We round out the class with a bull that gets a little plainer in his type and kind, loses a bit of that character through that front third, and a bull I'd like to change a little bit when you set him into motion. He kind of just doesn't follow his path as well. When you put this bull into motion, he gets a little straight on those back hocks, but a really nice set of bull calves. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Coming out in first place, number 2921, DBCC Mad Hatter, owned and shown by Double B Cattle Company, Unity, Saskatchewan. In second place, 2917, JYF 201M, owned and shown by J. Yorga Farms. And rounding out the class, entry number 2922, CHL Maverick, owned and shown by Clay Hills Livestock, Harding, Manitoba. We'll now go into our second split of juniors. There'll be 3 in the class, ranging from March 3rd to March 2nd. 1 day difference.
And now back to our Angus side of the ring. Much like our last class, if you heard those discussions, I think the gentleman that wins this class does so for me pretty easily. I think this is a real good, logical kind of a place and heifer to start, and then followed with a decision that's maybe a little closer in second and third. But the heifer that wins this class, I think, is pretty elite in terms of this group. When we talk about quality and balance and look, she's super stylish up through the front third of her body. I like her design. I like her pattern. I love her lines. She's got a deep, massive, maternal, feminine design to her rib cage. A lot of drop and depth back through that rear rib and flank. And as much as anything, she's a sound structured heifer, still very adequate in terms of her muscle, very good in terms of her growth and performance, a pretty fault-free heifer in this lineup. Then the heifers in second and third, and would you please pull your third place heifer into the lineup? Let's talk about these together, because this, in my mind, is one of the close placings that we have. I don't think there's any doubt, regardless of how close it is, that this second place heifer is much more like our class winner from a look standpoint. Her balance, her pattern, her design, I again will use the word quality, I think matches up better with our class winner. In terms of her soundness, I give her the nod in terms of flexing out and handling her back leg a little better. And even from a muscle standpoint, you know, center width, lower width is pretty comparable, but you study this heifer up at the top part of her hip. The squareness, the thickness, the fullness that she has from hooks to pins is better, in my opinion, than the heifer that places second. So for all those reasons, I'm going to keep her in second, but admitting she gets outmeasured a little bit in terms of her size and in terms of her length. That's one thing I like perhaps better about this heifer in third. I think this heifer in third will make a great cow, and I hate to be the guy that says the heifer in third is going to make a great cow. Don't hear me say that those first two won't. But I do like the functionality. I like the real-world usefulness of this heifer in third. Already at this young age, you see nice teat placement and udder quality. Again, I'm such a fan of length and extension in these cattle, and she has it in spades. I think she's broody and rugged in her design, but in this class that works against her a little bit, as she's perhaps a little coarser up through that head. She carries a little extra leather in that throat and brisket. Not as nice in her shoulder or the way that she transitions from her shoulder into her forearm. It's a long way of saying she just doesn't balance up as nicely, doesn't handle that hind leg quite as perfectly, and for those reasons, she's going to stay third. As we move down into the class, the heifer in fourth, a good, upstanding, tall-fronted heifer, a heifer that's got some height and stature at the point of her shoulder, like the heifer in front of her, great length of body. I think she definitely has more balance than does that heifer that's going to place below her, and I think today handles herself a little nicer on her back leg. For me, I'd add a little shape. We'd just give her more width from end to end and a little more thickness from behind. It's probably an advantage that the gentleman's heifer has here that's coming out next, but does so at the expense of some soundness. Just like to redesign her off those back legs. She too could be a little neater up through that front end. And then the heifer that completes her class, a good deep-sided heifer, good depth in her forerib, good real-world depth right there in the center of her body. Really like her from a dimension standpoint there in terms of her capacity, but a little shorter-sided, not quite as nicely balanced, and certainly one that we'd like to see move out a little more comfortably here today. Congratulations to these exhibitors. Another nice set of heifers. Thank you.
Thank you. So leading off our class is entry number 2369, 6 Mile Empress 98M, shown by 6 Mile Red Angus, Hollinger Landing Cattle, 709 Cattle, R Plus, and Elk Ridge. Second in class is entry number 2032, HLC Barbara 439M, shown by Hollinger Landing Cattle. Third is 2021, Malchuck Blackbird Malchuck Blackbird 11M, shown by Malchuck Farms. Fourth in class is 2034, Mainstream Grace 24M, shown by Mainstream Genetics. Fifth is 2022, Triple L Lucy 23M, shown by Triple L Angus. And sixth in class is 2025, SHR Envious Blackbird 89M, shown by Swan Hills Ranch. We'll now move into our fifth and final split of our intermediate heifer calves. This class, the females are born from February the 2nd to February the 1st of 2024.
I have comments from our Judge Craig on his second split of junior calves.
This Limousin class of bull calves is really impressive. There's only 3 individuals out here, but you got to be impressed with the quality from front to back. There's 3 really good individuals out here. The bull I lead off with is the bull that's probably the most balanced from front to back. A bull that you appreciate when you put him into motion. He's square on all 4 corners. A bull maybe we could give him a little more masculinity, but you get behind him and you look at that loin and that length of body, you really appreciate a lot of things he represents. He's still strong-skulled, and you appreciate the testicular development on this bull. Just a really nice, well-rounded individual. We get in the second place bull. A bull, when you get behind him, look at the top, look at the mass and the muscle that he represents. I really love the front third and the character that this bull has. Just gives up a little bit of that lower third and softness to compete with the bull out in front of him here, but a really good breeding individual in his own right. We get into the third place bull. A bull, I really appreciate the front third and the skull structure on this bull. He's got some character and some mass to him. Maybe gives up some of that length of hip comparatively to the 2 bulls in front of him out here today. And maybe not having his best day out here to look the part. But 3 really impressive individuals from front to start. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Leading off in first place in the second split of junior bull calves is 2920. Royal Majesty RBGL 402M, owned and shown by Royal Beef Genetics, Wiley Fanta, Starbuck, Minnesota. Second place, RPY Payne's Done Deal, owned and shown by Payne Livestock, now owned by Archon Livestock of Ontario. And in third place, 2919 EMF Monster Truck, owned and shown by Eden Meadows Farm from Zener, Saskatchewan. We'll now have the first and second from the first class. 2921 DBCC Mad Hatter from Double B Cattle Company, coming back in second place. 2917 JYF 201M from J. Yorga Farms, as well as the winners of the last split. First place 2920 Royal Majesty from Royal Beef Genetics, Starbuck, Minnesota, and 2918 RPY Payne's Done Deal from Payne Livestock and now owned by Archon Livestock from Ontario. These are vying for junior champion, reserve junior champion bulls of our show here today. Judge Wilgenbush will make comments on his junior and reserve junior division champions.
We have four nice individuals out here. I'm going to go slap the Grand and Reserve bulls, two bulls that I really feel are going to be really nice breeding tools within the breed, bulls that are useful. They've got some rib shape, some mass, some like the spine, and they've got some character up through that skull. Thank you.
Junior calf champion, ring number 2920 from Royal Beef Genetics, Royal Majesty, followed into reserve by the second out of the same class, RPY Payne's Done Deal by Payne Livestock and Archon Livestock now from Ontario. Congratulations to the winners there of the junior and reserve junior calf champions from our show here today. Following this and coming into the ring next will be our intermediate division. We have one class in this split. 4 animals will be in the ring, ranging in age from January 14 through to January 4. I'm sorry. Still going to be 4 in there, but they're going to be February 13th through till February 1st. Jumped ahead of myself here by a class. We'll have comments on our intermediate division from Craig.
This intermediate division, we have a class winner that wins it quite handily. Here's a bull you really appreciate for the presence, how he comes out of that front shoulder and the character skull he represents. Just a really nice look to him. When you profile him, you appreciate the balance. He's strong hipped, his hook to pin structure, you appreciate he's strong in that loin. Just a really well-rounded individual that can handle lots of competition. We get in the second place bull. Here's a bull you appreciate on the profile, and you appreciate when he gets out and moves. When you start analyzing him a little bit, you can break him down. Behind the shoulders, he gets a little tight, and he loses some of that masculinity and character to compete with the front bull out here in this class, but a really nice individual in his own right. We get into the third place bull. Here's a bull with probably the most length of body from front to back. You really appreciate the spine and the hook to pin length. He's got some mass to him, just gets a little plainer out of that front third and a plainer in that lower hip to compete. But a bull in his own breeding right is going to add some pounds and some length to your calf crop. We get in the fourth place bull, very similar to the third place bull, a bull you admire for the length, the spine, the mass that he represents. Just gets maybe a little straighter in that front shoulder to compete with the three bulls out here, but four really nice individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. And leading off is your intermediate calf champions, number 2925, RPY Payne's Fax 48M, owned and shown by Payne Livestock, Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. In second place, reserve intermediate champion is 2928, Pinnacle, Plains Money Man 433M, owned and shown by Plains Livestock and Pinnacle View Limousin from Quesnel, BC. In third place, 2923, SGL Maverick, owned and shown by Shortgrass Limousin, Swift Current. And in fourth place, rounding out the class, SGL McGregor, owned and shown by Shortgrass Limousin, Swift Current, Saskatchewan. They will be your reserve intermediate bulls coming back in, vying for the overall grand and reserve champion. We'll next have our senior class come in. We have one division, one split of them. Coming in here will be four bulls, again, ranging from January 14th through to January 4th.
We'll now have comments on our final split of February heifer calves.
Yeah, and what I think is our last class of these Februaries, a challenging class again. But a good class, a fun class to judge and discuss. Gentleman's heifer that I've selected to win the class, admittedly, probably isn't the most in any one category, but she ranks the best, she ranks high in so many good categories, in so many categories that I think she goes ahead and deserves to win just from a completeness and from a fault-free standpoint. About any way we talk and describe about this heifer, we're going to use some real positive compliments. From the side, she's got balance and she's got look. From the rear, she's got shape, she's got muscle, she's got power. When you study her in terms of her balance and her femininity, she's still maternal, she's still ladylike. When you watch her at the ground, she still travels and handles the mass that she does have in very good fashion, gets around the ring in good shape. So at the end of the day, she does stack up the most good things for me, even though she might not rank the most in any one category, and she becomes a logical winner. Congratulations on having a class winner here. The heifer in second, I moved up from third, and this is a heifer that if she would ever just cool her jets a little bit and settle down, would be super fun to look at. She, for me, is the nicest balanced and the coolest profiling as you study her from the side. She's really chiseled out, got a good cookie cutter pattern, puts a beautiful shadow down on the ground. Nice design, nice top, nice hip and tail head, good depth of rib, really feminine in her front third, but really good in her lines. Just her overall pattern really draws the eye. I like her bone, love her soundness when you watch her walk. This is a heifer that's a little hard for me to read because from the side view, she looks like she's going to be a little flat, quite honestly. But the more you study that heifer, there's some width there. Maybe not the most width down low, but up high especially. She's got some shape and she's got some dimension. So the more I watch this heifer, the more I look at this heifer, the more she grows on me, and she ends up second here today. The heifer in third perhaps is a little more like our class winner in terms of, I love that top. I love the additional turn and bulge that she has from the side and that hip and stifle. Love all the shape she has down in the lower third of her rib cage. But compared to the heifers in first and second, I'd like to see her move a little better off those back legs today. Don't hear me say that she struggles badly, but by comparison in those top three, she's the one that gives me a problem from time to time and not wanting to handle herself, especially there in her rear pasterns quite as nicely as the two that place above her. I think you can even see that in her loin a little bit as she walks. Boy, a tremendously good heifer in terms of shape and power comes out next. Thick-topped, thick-butted, good spring and arc and curvature to her rib cage, but one that doesn't balance up as nicely. A little plainer about that head, doesn't carry herself down through her spine quite as nicely, where she wants to break from time to time right in behind her shoulder. Would add just a little bit of that pizzazz and eye appeal to her to get her any higher today. The heifer that comes out next, I think this is a close placing between her and the heifer that places below her. Both of these heifers, I think, could handle themselves a little better off their back leg, but between the two, I think there's more heifer right here with the ladies in terms of shape, thickness of top, overall width of chest, width at her base, just mass. For me, she's the more powerful heifer of the pair. Love the cleanliness, the balance, the freshness, the look, the eye appeal of the gentleman's heifer here. As I said, I think she gets out measured a little bit in terms of meat and muscle by the heifer in front of her. The heifer that completes the class, really one of the stout structured, good boned heifers that we have. Gives you a good look on the stand, but her problems come when we put her in motion. Just too restricted off those back legs today. Congratulations, end of a nice division. Look forward to seeing our champions.
So thank you. So leading off our class is entry number 2044, SBR Lady 305M, shown by Southview Ranch. Second in class is entry number 2054, PF Beauty RLP 18M, shown by Pyshal Farms and Southern Comfort Angus. Third in class is entry number 2051, Blair's West Erica 22M, shown by Blair's West Land and Cattle. Fourth is 2023, ASM Cattle, Eldom Lisa 406M, shown by ASM Cattle and Eldom Cattle Investments. Fifth is 2019, Pearl Bella 63M, shown by Pearl Cattle Company. Sixth in class is 2045, J. Mirandi Grace 414M, shown by J. Mirandi Livestock and Ellesmere Farms. And rounding out the class is entry number 2036, J. Scores Last 428M, shown by J. Scores Angus. We will now be moving into our intermediate heifer calf division championships. We'd like to thank our sponsors. Our champion is sponsored by Scott and Connie Bryce in memory of Bill Bryce, and the reserve awards are sponsored by Irving Angus. So returning out of split one is Cottonwood Tibby 48M, followed by entry number 2033, Mainstream Sweetheart 34M. Out of split two, we have entry number 2035, Sylvia Miss 101M, and entry number 2040, Rito Ever Intense 55M. From split three, we have entry number 2020, Grills Rosebud 2426M, shown by Grills Cattle, and entry number 2055, Fiber and Blackbird 36M. Out of split four, we have entry number 2369, 6 Mile Empress 98M, and entry number 2032, HLC Barbara 439M. And returning from the final split, we have entry number 2044, SBR Lady 305M, and entry number 2054, PF Beauty RLP 18M, shown by Pyshal Farms and Southern Comfort Angus.
Over in the Limousin ring, we'll now get comments from Judge Wilgenbush on his intermediate champion bulls, or senior champion bulls, sorry.
We have four nice individuals in this senior championship class. The bull I lead off comes to it quite handily, a bull you really admire from the minute he comes in the ring. He's got a presence and some character. He's got some body mass, some depth of flank, some muscle. He's really nice in his joints. He's got really nice flexion when you put him in motion. Just a really well overall balanced individual. We get into the second place bull, a bull you admire for the muscle and the length of body in him. He's got that nice hook to pin length of length. A bull you appreciate for him over the top. He's strong. I'd just like to soften this bull up a bit to compete with the bull out here that leads off the class, but a nice individual in his own right. We get into the third place bull, definitely the power bull of the class. And as these bulls mature and grow, they have different rates of growth, and their growth curve is quite different. This bull is powerful. He's got the length of spine and the mass and the muscle. I'd just like to free him up a bit to compete with the two bulls out in front of him here today, but a bull that's going to put some pounds on a scale in the future on his calf crop. We get into the fourth place bull, a bull you really admire the profile in him. He's got some depth of body and some depth of mass to him. A bull, I'd just like to clean him up in those back legs a bit to compete. He's got a little boat in to compete with the bulls out in front of him here today, but a bull in his own right that's a well-rounded individual as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. And leading off in first place is lot number 2929. This is RPY Payne's coach, shown by Payne Livestock, now owned by Ferme BLB from Quebec, Jason Brock and family. In second place, 2932. DBCC Metaxa. That's owned and shown by Double B Cattle Company, now owned by Houston Land and Cattle Company of Unity, Saskatchewan. In third, 2930, RPY Payne's Elevate, owned and shown by Payne Livestock. And rounding out the class, 2931, EMF Muhammad Ali, owned and shown by Eden Meadows Livestock, is Eden Meadows, Saskatchewan. The first and second will be returning for the overall championship here in a few minutes as we get closer to the final drive of our bull show. We'll come in next. We've got one bull coming in the next fall division of the bulls coming in, lot number 2934 from JYF.
Jake will make some comments before selecting his champions.
Well, first and foremost, let's give this division a very well-deserved round of applause, those of you at ringside. Just an excellent lineup of heifers, and whether these are the 5 heifers you would have pulled out here or not, I think you have to agree this is a powerful set, and I think it's okay in this division to have some differences because in my mind there were some close placings and there's some awfully good heifers standing in second behind these class winners. Just to quickly recap what we saw and what we liked here, the young heifer that came out of the first class is one that's a little break-in type, and we said that in class from the rest of this group, and that she's certainly more moderate in her frame size, but what she might lack in stature, she more than makes up for in terms of her shape, her mass, her boldness, the maternal thick look that she has. And relative to that moderate size, she is super long-sided and stretched out, still handles herself very nicely on the move. Although for my preference, I would have to say I would just pick her up a little bit in terms of size to make her better. It's a really striking heifer that came out of the second class. I thought she won that class pretty easily just from a quality standpoint. Her look and her balance was so good in that class, and it's still one of the things I admire most about her out here in this division. This is a heifer that we were a little critical on the way that she handled her back legs from time to time, and even so in this division, I'd like to see her handle that with a little more squareness and authority and just track a little truer off that back leg, but boy, that's getting picky on one that really knocks your socks off from a look and a build standpoint. And then the heifer who's circling now right here in the middle of the ring is one of the heifers that probably I think is closest to my ideal in terms of her pattern. And here's what I mean by that. This is a heifer that I think has adequate height and stature right there at the point of her shoulder, but from there back, she's as level as a laser. Through the middle of her back, through her hip, I just love that length and squareness and tail head set that she has. Like all the heifers in the ring, she's great in terms of her body, very adequate in terms of her muscle. She maybe doesn't have quite the sexiness and pizzazz in terms of her neck set. We might raise that up just a little bit, but boy, you're getting picky on one that brings a lot of good to the table. Probably the heifer with the most horsepower out here comes next. The gentleman in the black hat has got a big heifer that's just got a lot to her. She's got frame, performance, weight per day of age, power and thickness, and still puts that into a really, really cool kind of a package. You know, you consider the top, you consider the hip and the bone that she has, to still wear that with some classiness and kind of a ladylike feminine design up in her front end. That's awfully, awfully impressive. I think she's really sound on that back leg. From time to time, she might question if she pulls that back leg under her just a little too much, but again, being super, super critical on a heifer that, again, does a lot of things right. And then the heifer that we just discussed most recently, we said in class she's maybe not the most of any one category, but boy, she ranks high in a lot of categories. Her balance is good, her muscle is good, her body is good, and still handles that, I think, relatively good in terms of her structure. But certainly we admit she's not the most overwhelming in any one area, except when you talk about completeness and fault-freeness, and then you do have to agree, I think, that she's really, really good. It's a tough decision. I think there's several things that you want to do. The cool thing about it is when you got this many good options, you can just kind of do what you want and what you like, and that's what I'm going to do. So once again, give these folks a nice round of applause. We'll find you a division champion.
So our intermediate champion goes judge number 2020. Grills Rosebud 2426M, shown by Grills Cattle Company.
While he's considering his reserve, we'll have a quick comment on our single entry here from Craig and the fall bull here.
We have a really nice yearling bull out here that could stand some competition on this fall bull. He's got some length of body, some mass to him, and some structure. He's got some character up through that front third. Look forward to seeing him in the final drive. Thank you.
And our reserve intermediate heifer calf champion goes to number 2369, 6 Mile Empress 98M, shown by 6 Mile Red Angus, Hollinger Landing Cattle, 719 Cattle, R Plus, and Elk Ridge.
Coming out of the fall division, of course, was 2934, JYF Longshore, 514L, owned and shown by JYF Farms, and he will come back and compete against the next division for junior and reserve junior champion. Next class coming in will be the older bulls from April 21 to February 2nd. Please scratch 2937, will not be running with us today. 2937 will be a scratch.
And once again, I'd just like to thank our intermediate division heifer calf champions. Our champion is sponsored by Scott and Connie Bryce, in memory of Bill Bryce, and our reserve was sponsored by Irving Angus. We'll now be moving into our first of 7 splits in our senior heifer calf division. The first split, these females were born from January the 30th to January the 24th of 2024.
We'll have comments now on our final junior division from Craig.
This junior division in the Limousin side, we got two bulls over here, two bulls that are very adequate, well-balanced bulls that get out and move. The bull I lead the class off with, the bull, you appreciate the length of body, the length of spine he possesses, comes up into that front shoulder really nice. He gets out and travels nice. Just a really well-balanced bull. It's got some character and some presence in that front third. You appreciate the muscle and the shape that he represents. Just a really, really good individual. The bull we follow him up with, here's a bull that gets out and travels really nice, just gets a little rounder in that hook to pin structure. You appreciate the muscle and the body mass that he does have and the foot structure that he represents. Just a little different type and kind comparatively to the bull that we lead off the class with, but a nice, well-rounded set of individuals. Thank you.
Coming out of this split of junior bulls is 2935 Plains Lawless, coming to you from Plains Limousin, Wainwright, Alberta. In second place, JYF Larry, coming to you from J. Yorga Farms, Flintoff, Saskatchewan. They'll be coming back in to vie for the junior and reserve junior champions with 2934 from JYF as well. Longshore, 514L. And then Plains Lawless, 2935. And then in second place, 2936 in the second class, JYF Larry, coming back in for junior and reserve junior champion.
I got her riding on that shotgun side. With that take me to the sunrise, look inside her eyes. Now we're flying. Yeah, we're flying. We got 10 miles of open road. Blasting the radio. We got both windows down and no one around. Don't have to take it slow. We're good to
Comments from Craig.
We have three really nice individuals out here. I'm going to go slap the Grand Reserve Yearling Bull. Two bulls that I think are really functional and bulls that are very useful in breeding programs and pushing that breeding program to that next level. We have three really excellent individuals out here. Thank you.
Junior champion coming back with the final drive will be 2935 Plains Lawless from Plains Limousin, Wainwright, Saskatchewan. And he will be followed in reserve by 2934 JYF Longshore from J. Yorga Farms, Flintoff, Saskatchewan.
In the radio, we got both windows down and no one around. Don't have to take it slow. We got 10 miles of open road. Last in the radio. We got both windows down and no one around. Don't have to take it slow. We're good to go. So much that we don't know. Yeah, there's so much we can't control, but we got both windows down and wide open ground. Ain't gonna take it slow.
Coming in next will be our single entry and our 2-year-old bull. Coming to us is lot number 2938, B-Bar Rainmaker, coming from B-Bar Cattle and Associates.
And here's Jake with his comments on his first class of January calves.
Well, this may be one of the wow classes of the day for me, as we've got such two really, really exceptional individuals here in first and second doing battle here in this class. And I like both of these heifers. Both are fun to look at, just beautifully presented, well fit, well clipped. My compliments to those involved with that. Both of these heifers give you about as much look as you could ask for from a profile standpoint. Feminine, ladylike, strong and level and square in their lines. Both of these heifers move well in terms of their structure. They're both deep-sided heifers. The real thing that separates the two heifers for me is shape. And I simply think the heifer that wins the class is more dimensional. I certainly think she's got more rib shape, both up high and down in the lower third of her body. I think there's more real width and thickness in terms of muscle. But that's not to take anything away from this extremely elegant heifer that comes to us in second. She's the bigger framed heifer of the pair, and along with that, the longer sided, more extended heifer that today stands on more bone than does our class winner. As pretty fronted as you can make one in terms of upheadedness, flatness and smoothness of shoulder, trimness of chest, and then how well she transitions into her forerib and top. Just perfect. Like I said, the big differentiator for me is just the shape that this heifer has. Not as much power in the lower third of her body, not as much shape and expression of muscle for me when you get right in behind her. Then we get into a real judging class among about the next four heifers, and this is the way that I see them. Although this heifer coming out next doesn't have that extreme upper end quality and balance and design, she's still of the group that we have to choose from, handles herself as nicely on her back leg, has that kind of squareness of rump, levelness of top, and thickness, beefiness, power that I like to see. Would we like to class her up a little bit from a femininity standpoint? You bet that's what we would change, and that's what I'll grant about the heifer that follows her. This more moderate heifer is cuter. She's got a better design. She does show you a little more class, cleanliness, and femininity up in the front end of her body there. But along with that, this is a heifer that for me doesn't handle herself as nicely on her back leg today. And with that extra moderation comes a little bit more shortness of spine. I just like to stretch her out. That's a big advantage for the heifer coming out next. A bigger, taller heifer that is stretchier and more extended and longer sided from end to end. She too, though, is one that I'd like to see travel, not only better off of those rear legs, but up in that front shoulder and front knee as well. Coming around next, the young lady here with the ponytail, a big, upstanding, tall-fronted heifer, one that I think compared to the heifer below her just has so much more meat and muscle in her. Thicker top, more expressive, wider at her hock. I just like that added power, but she too's one that we would like to just improve from a balance standpoint. Real cute maid heifer comes around here next, but flatter in her rib, flatter in her hip, doesn't travel quite as nicely. And then we wrap up with what's really a high performance, pounds heavy kind of heifer that's got some substance and some body, but I really get concerned with the way she travels off those rear two today, and I'd like to make her better in that area. Congratulations, hard fought class.
So leading off our class is entry number 2077, Grills Empress 2421M, shown by Grills Cattle Company. Second in class is entry number 2056, Swindon Lucy 4001, shown by Swindon Ranch. Third goes to entry number 2059, Justimere Dirty Gertie 144M, shown by Justimere Farms Limited and Gunvick Holdings Limited. Fourth in class goes to entry number 2066, Wilbar Sarita, 653M, shown by Wilbar Cattle Company. Fifth, the Gold Century 2074, Pro Laura 46M, shown by Pro Cattle Company. Sixth is 2060, Justimere 314J Aeroline 131M, shown by Justimere Farms and Dusty Rose Cattle. Seventh is entry number 2111, Third Degree Beauty 21M, shown by Abigail Tomlin. And eighth in class is entry number 2109, Honeybrook Cheetah 6M, shown by Honeybrook Farms. We'll now move into split two, and these females were born from January the 22nd to January the 18th.
Craig will comment on his senior bull.
His senior bull doesn't have many classmates out here, but boy, you want to talk about one impressive individual. Here's the combination of what the Limousin breed represents, a bull that's got a ton of muscle, combination with a ton of length and volume, and for a bull with that kind of muscle and mass, he still moves out well. You really can't find a hole in this bull. You appreciate a lot of things he brings to the breed. Just one impressive individual from front to back. I love a lot of things about him, that character in through the front end, just a real power bull. Look forward to seeing him in the final drive. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Our winner, of course, 2938 B-Bar Rainmaker from B-Bar Livestock or B-Bar Cattle, Lucky Lake, Saskatchewan. Additional owners, Borson Marketing Services, Canadian Sires, and Larone Limousin of South Africa. We'll now get ready to line up our final drive, our champion drive coming back in. Start off with our junior bull calves, 2929 coming in, RPY Payne's coach from Payne Livestock Farm BLB coming in there as our class winner, and reserve is D2932 DBCC Metaxa coming to you from Double B Cattle Company. The intermediate bull, oh hell, I missed a bunch. 2920 is our first one coming in, our junior bull calf champion. This 2920, of course, is Royal Majesty coming over on the far side there, followed by 2918 RPY Payne's Done Deal. And then we got 2925 coming in, RPY Payne's Fax, followed by 2928 Pinnacle Plains Money Man from Plains and Pinnacle. And then we have 2929 from Payne's Livestock, RPY Payne's Coach, followed by 2932 DBCC Metaxa from Double B Cattle Company. Our junior champion coming in, 2935. 2935 is Plains Lawless from Plains Limousin of Wainwright, Alberta, followed by 2934 JYF Longshore from J. Yorga Farms of Flintoff, Saskatchewan. Rounding out the final drive is B-Bar Rainmaker, coming to you, of course, from B-Bar Cattle, Borson Marketing, Canadian Sires, and Larone Limousin, South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, your final drive for the Grand Champion Bull here at Agribition. While we're choosing our champion here, we're going to present the Herdsman Award. There's a Herdsman Award for each breed that goes through this year, and it's presented by Blair's Performance. Animal Nutrition is proud to present the Herdsman Awards for each breed. Performance Nutrition is focused on cow-calf operations across the prairies. Go visit their booth in the John Deere Sales Arena and see Blairs.ag over there. This year's the recipient. Unfortunately, the hard-working one is on the end of a halter, so we'll have to get the Public Relations Department from B-Bar Cattle Company, Lucky Lake, Saskatchewan. Your Herdsman Award for this year. Eric, if you got time, could you come on into the ring and receive your award, please? He does look a little stunned himself out there, but anyways, come on in, Eric, and receive your award. Good job, Tara. course, here presenting the champion banners for the champion bull. This year, we got John Deere. We're really thrilled to have them as our major sponsor here for the champion banners. We got Tara Lee LaRose, Marketing and Promotions, going to present the John Deere banner. And on behalf of Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association, Leon Luke, Director with the SCA, will make the banner presentation on their behalf. We'll await to see who is going to have the opportunity to raise that banner. And to final recognition to some of our other sponsors here is MNP. They sponsor the championship bars in each of the breeds in the barn here. This year we got Mackenzie Gordon from MNP. We also got Chubb Lundago here. He's the main push for MNP at the shows here. We really appreciate Chubb for all you do. And of course, Annie Brunet will be in the Limousin barn doing the champion bars there. I think Craig has got his mind semi-made up here. He's going to give us some final comments before he goes and makes his selections for Champion Reserve Bull of Agribition 24.
This championship drive is really impressive over here in this Limousin side. I think you need to put your hands together for an excellent set of bulls that the producers brought out here today. I think from this front row of bulls, you can see the type and kind we've been picking here today. Bulls that are functional, bulls that got some mass, some soundness, some length of spine to them. Bulls that are characters are going to go out in the breed and push that breed to the next level. It's a really nice set of bulls I've been asked to sort out here today, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to go out and select our Grand and Reserve champion bull here today in the Limousin breed. Thank you.
There you have it. B-Bar Rainmaker reigns supreme. Lot number 2938, Grand Champion Agribition 24 from B-Bar Cattle, Borson Marketing, Canadian Sires, Larone Limousin from South Africa. And your reserve champion is lot number 2929. That's Payne's Coach, RPY Payne's Coach, coming to you from the Senior Bull Calf Division from Payne Livestock and additional new owner, Farm BLB, the Jason Brock family from Quebec. So they will receive the John Deere banners from Tara Lee LaRose from Marketing Manager from John Deere, as well as Leon Luke, SCA Director from Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association. And MNP is in the mix here as a sponsor as well. And that is Mackenzie Gordon. I think we'll roll right into our group classes probably. I'm not sure. I don't see Judge Craig. Maybe he went out. I guess they're going to do the picture break first. So we'll do the pictures and then we'll come back with our group classes. We only have a couple of classes of those.
Jake will now comment on his heifer calf class.
Well, of everything I've seen today, if we had a class where we could give 2 first-placed awards, I would maybe choose to do it right here. This is maybe as close of a placing between first and second in my mind as I've had to choose between. Both of these heifers, I think, are extremely, extremely good. I like them for different reasons, but both in their own right, I think they're extremely high quality, and it gets to be a tough choice, and I really think an even match between these 2 heifers, they could go either way. This is a heifer right here that wins the contest between the 2 in terms of her shape. She's a beautifully designed heifer, but when you think about her in terms of power, she's got more top, particularly right in there behind her shoulder. I think she's got certainly more expression of muscle when you get back into her hip. I feel like just more genuine shape and width from end to end. On the other side of the coin, this is a heifer that's a little more moderate in her frame size, and with that moderation, a little shorter sided than is the bigger, longer heifer in second. And the question I have to answer in my mind is, does this heifer take really a long enough reach and stride? And with a little bit more of a smaller package, she maybe takes a slightly shorter step, but not enough so that I think it merits beating her today necessarily, or beating up on her today. But I think that's a good heifer, and this is a close placing. A heifer that I'm really drawn to in terms of her size and her length is this heifer in second. I love the stretch and the extension. She does have a looser frame and more reach of stride, no doubt, than our class winner does. It may be that she had a bad spot over here in the ring, and I'm willing to admit that. But what really continued to bother me about this heifer is the way that she would break in behind that shoulder on the profile. She collects herself on the move, and I like her best on the move. In fact, for me, she's the class winner when you watch her on the move. But then on the stand, she just continuously comes apart more in there behind her shoulder, and I just like to strengthen her up in that regard. I think that's a close pair. Again, I could see either one of those winning, but that's the way I see them right here in the moment. These heifers in third and fourth are real evenly matched. If you were to tell me that they're by the same sire or some relation, I'd have no trouble believing that. I think they're so similar in terms of their size, their kind, their squareness, their body, their build, their makeup. But between the 2, I see a little more class and elegance in this heifer, especially right there at the top of her shoulder. I think she's a neater package. I think she's a little thinner in her neck in terms of the depth of the neck. I like her in her loin and her tail head better than the heifer that comes in behind her. Big boned, stout featured kind of a heifer, no doubt, that comes in behind her. Shapy, thick, a lot of beefiness, a lot of product. I would just add to her a little balance and just give her a little more integrity in that spine when she walks. Whereas today, she pinches down in that loin and then her tail head comes up. Maybe tail head sets a little forward in her for my liking. Little things in this class make a big difference, and that's a little thing that I would do. We're talking now to, I think, the 5th place heifer. I want to point out all the way down into this class, we're still talking about extremely, extremely good, high-quality heifers. And to this gentleman, I would say, I really like your heifer. She's got my kind of height, my kind of length, comparable to that heifer in second that I bragged on a lot. Deep-sided, extremely sound structured, arguably better than the one that went out in front of her. However, on the other side of the coin, she's a little flatter from end to end than what I'm preferring today. I'd give her more arc and curvature to her rib cage and a little more muscle thickness back in her hip, but I wouldn't change a thing about her pattern and her structure. I think she's awfully good. The 2 heifers that round out the class. Again, young lady, I'm a big fan of your heifer, and I think you're leading what will be a good money-making replacement for you. She's got all the important parts in terms terms of growth and muscle, performance and body. Today, she doesn't handle her back legs quite as nicely like the heifer in front of her. I think she could use an extra shot of shape, but a super, super nice female here right towards the end of her class. And the gentleman that finishes up here, super deep-sided kind of a female, but you see what I see. She gets out measured quite a bit in terms of her bone and balance. Can't get her any higher because of that. Tough class. Let's give these folks a nice round of applause.
Thank you, Jake. So leading on up our class is entry number 2092, HLC Erica 383M, shown by Hollinger Land and Cattle. Second is entry number 2110, Black Gold Ms. Tibby 133M, shown by Black Gold Seminoles, Versilvia Cattle Company, and Sholigan Cattle. Third goes to entry number 2088, Terron Jaybird 64M, shown by Terron Farms. Fourth is entry number 2087, Riverfront Rosebud 432M, shown by Riverfront Angus Ranch, and you can add additional owner Tri-S. Fifth in class goes to entry number 2094, Versilvia Miss Annie K 17M, shown by Versilvia Cattle Company, Riley Pasholka, and Chatsworth Land and Cattle. Sixth is entry number 2080, KCH Annie K 412, shown by KCH Cattle Company, and seventh goes to entry number 2097, AJA Gestress 456M, shown by AJ Angus. We'll now move into split 3 of our January heifer calves. These females were born from January the 17th to January the 12th of 2024.
On the Limousin side of things, we'll now enter into our breeders' herd competition. I'm not going to say how many is going to be here. We'll wait and see who all shows. Going to be 2 coming in, I guess. We got Payne Livestock coming in here with their group. Also coming in is Double B Cattle Company. Guess we'll only have the 2 racing here with us today.
Over here in our Angus Show, it looks like we have 1 scratch in this class. You can scratch 2101. Connections Credit Union is proud to be a platinum partner of Canadian Western Agribition. Stop by the Connexus watering hole in the John Deere Sale Arena for refreshment, or visit our team at booth 143 in the International Trade Center to find out how they can help you make your financial dreams a reality.
I think while Craig is deliberating here in the breeders' herd, it's a good time to announce that Premier Breeder, Premier Exhibitor of today's show, both owned and won by Payne Livestock, Payne family, Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. Let's congratulate the Payne family. Judge Wilgenbush has left them as they're standing. The black group will be first, second, that's Payne Livestock, second to Double B Cattle. Kate, coming in for your get of sire will be Payne Livestock, and Plains Limousin will be coming in for your get of sire. Add to or delete. Next group, come in, please. Kyle Hebert, are you in within the sound, please? Kyle Hebert, if you could come in, please. Once again, just as they stand to get a sire is Payne Livestock, second place, Plains Limousin. And here to present the Premier Breeder, Premier Exhibitor Award to Payne Livestock, Rocky, and group that is in the ring there. If we have Kyle Hebert, Managing Partner from Hearst Livestock Ventures, is making the presentation on Premier Breeder and Exhibitor Payne Livestock. Thank you to all Limousin enthusiasts for joining us here today. We had a great set of cattle come before us. Thank you to Craig Wilgenbush for coming in and giving his assessment on this. We really appreciate you doing that. We appreciate everyone for being here, taking your time to have fun with us here in the shavings today. Thanks and congratulations to all that came out.
We'll have comments on split 3 of our January heifer calves.
Nice set of January heifers and another one of these competitive classes. We go several deep with real nice females. The 2 heifers that I've pulled in first and second certainly have some differences, and my preference is the heifer that has a little more size, much more length, and I think more class and more balance and eye appeal about her. I see that most, the balance that is up in there in the front end of her body. She's so feminine about her head. She has less crest and thickness at the top side of her neck. That neck sits real high and correct on her shoulder. I like her shoulder blade, and again, the way that blends smoothly and correctly right into her spine and forerib, goes back into a real long extended body cage and long hip. You get back into her tail head, and I like her pin set, but I would bring down her tail head set. She's one of these heifers that likes to, as he touches it, she likes to just hold that up naturally, and I think that's a lot of it, but still yet we could probably tone that down a little. Between the 2, I think she probably gets the nod in terms of movement as well. The heifer in second is a massive kind of a heifer. You love her body, her volume, her capacity, has a real easy doing look about her. That udder looks to be really nice, what we can see so far in terms of those teats at a young age. Tremendously just cowy and maternal in her build. On the other side of the coin, with a little more moderation comes a little more shortness of side, especially maybe up in that front end, whereas I'd like to take down a little bit of that on the top of her neck, thin up her neck a little bit, and take some of that width out of it. I think that would give her even more attractiveness and balance than what she already has. Young lady in third's got a real fresh conditioned heifer. I like her condition for this stage of the game because she still shows you so much natural, real-world body depth, not only in her forerib, but in the middle and rear portions of that rib and flank. Tail head, hip, all that has the squareness I'd like to see. And although this heifer moves nicely, she does so with extra set to her back leg. And I would just set her down with more correctness from her hip to her hock down to her pastern. I think that would do a lot for her balance. Here's a real cowy, bold-made, massive kind of a heifer that not only has a lot of growth and weight per day of age, but also just a lot of beef and product in her. She's wide at both ends of her skeleton. She is monster bodied in terms of the depth and width of body that she has. Love all the thickness of top and meat and muscle that we see, but she needs to be better in 2 places. She needs more bone to match all the power and mass that she has, and then she needs to handle it all better on her feet and legs. And then the 2 heifers that are going to wrap up the class. The gentleman's heifer right here, not the most cooperative today, but we got a good look at her. I'd like to prove her from a structure standpoint. Love the muscle of the heifer that completes the class. Just needs a little more body and soundness to go with it. Thank you.
So leading off our class is entry number 2108, KT Emblenet, 4192, shown by KT Ranches. Second is entry number 2093, HLC Black Loss, 366M, shown by Hollinger Land and Cattle. Third is entry number 2079, SHR Tibby, 70M, shown by Swan Hills Ranch. Fourth in class is entry number 2062, Southland Flora 45M, shown by Southland Cattle. Fifth in class is entry number 2103, Northern View Bell 35M, shown by Northern View Angus. And sixth in class is entry number 2068, Ramrod Missy 407M, shown by Ramrod Livestock. We'll all be moving into split 4 of our January heifer calves. These heifers were born from January the 11th to January the 6th of 2024. Is anybody getting hungry? I'm not going to tell you to leave our Great Angus show here, but for down the road, I'd like to remind you that there are a few copies of the Canadian Angus Foundation cookbook available. This cookbook has many fantastic beef recipes